Okay, to boost or not to boost, that is the question. So pretty simple way of looking at boosting is, let's check this out from my calibration. Time aligned, Harman. Let's go here. So one thing you've got to think about, let's remove this one. This is like the Harman curve. So one thing you've got to think about here is if maybe 45 hertz, imagine that the response was actually boosted, and with EQ you would have to bring this down, right? So, but by bringing down parts of the response, let's just say it was -5, right? By bringing that down, the average volume is also coming down, which means the average volume will have to be lifted up. So in some effect here, you are actually boosting the rest of this just by sheer volume, because the average volume is always going to be coming down. And that's the thing. This is really a balancing act. Even if you use negative numbers for your EQ, it does not matter. All that matters is the relative difference between this boosted area here and, say, the response here. If it's 5 dB, then even using negative numbers will still be 5 dB. It's just relative differences in volume. So I was thinking, like, what actually is the best way to handle this? Using negative EQ isn't just going to save you from any issues here. Again, the differences are still there. So I was kind of figuring out a way to do this, which is going to be best. So let's go time aligned. Right, so time aligned is selected. Let's go to EQ here. And where are we? Okay, so this target line here is the average volume, of this response. At 40 hertz with 1 octave, you set the volume of this response and your target response, so they match. This is the same level as this response. It's exactly the same level. So in effect, you've found the most even point between the response and the target. I think that is the best thing to do here. I've been doing it for quite a while now, using that method, and it just gives the most central response of what you're trying to do. So if you set individual max boost here, you can have this completely maxed out. The overall boost, which is if you applied a 2 here, a 3 here, a 4 here, the overall boost will not get more than 12. At least it shouldn't do anyway. I have seen more than that, but it doesn't matter. For now, we're just going to use the individual max boost as 0. That means it will not boost. Now, the best way to do this would probably now be to bring the response down, but I'm using this as like really a demo to show you. So match response. And because you can't boost, it can only bring down, right? It can only bring down here. You know, it will fix this. You can even look at the EQ filters here. We're not boosting at all, right? We're using some -13s. But again, if you're applying a -13 in some areas of the sub, you are boosting, because the difference between this 6 and here is 7. So that's the actual difference here. But the response is still kind of poor, right? But you can still work this out as like what is this gonna sound like? So if you generate measurement from predicted, EQ aligned, so 0 boost. These can all go for now. So this is the response, right? Say versus a Harman curve, it's a little bit higher, but Can I zoom out just a bit? Yeah, just to get, it feels as I was in too close, but because I want to give you a bit of a bigger perspective here. So that's what it's done to the response, but what does it actually sound like? So let's pull this out. What you can do now is select this and graph psychoacoustic, right? This is how it sounds. This is how it actually sounds. And then you put the Harman curve back on. Now there are volume differences here, but this is the target that I want. This is now what I'm going to be hearing. So it's not good enough. You can't do this for a good EQ. Now, sure, again, I could bring down this target level. I'm not on the right one. I could bring down the target level, but again, you're actually boosting then, because the differences between some are going to be as large as you need to boost anyway. So you may as well boost. So let's go back to this. We can turn this one off, and we'll turn this off. So time aligned, select again, go to EQ. So now the safest thing to do, we can keep that, is to look at what somebody like Trinoff does, right? Trinoff, from what I've been reading and what I see from their calibrations, is they apply a plus 6 dB rule, which is pretty much on their EQs, they don't go above a plus 6 dB boost, right? Well, let's actually see how good that is. What kind of results would we actually get from a plus 6 dB boost? So match response. So right away it's cleared up this dip. It's fixed this. We've got more control here now over the EQ. It's done much better at this massive peak, and it's done some decent work here, right? So again, generate measurement from predicted. What do we actually hear? Let's just put plus 6. I think I need to do that. So even without smoothing, it looks really good. We've got this, sure, but this is a room problem. This is a room problem. How do you get over this? You could time align slightly differently. I don't like to do that because I can hear micro differences in bass timing. I can. When I was younger, like when I was back in England, I went like night school for DJing, and it teaches you timing and things like that. Once you get, I mean, I had this ear even before I was doing like DJing and stuff. Beat timing is like just ingrained into like any time I hear music. And if I hear music with micro differences in bass timing, I just can't do it. So this is why I don't do that. So one of the ways to get over this is to add a third sub, add a fourth sub. Maybe you need 6 in the room. I don't know. And as well, this comes down to like how big your room is and how much space you have to like you can use with your subs. I'm assuming like most people that are into home theater, their wives allow their husbands to have one room, right? So if you're in a dedicated room, you are allowed to do anything you like in that room, nowhere else in the house, right? Then if you have the space, start adding a third sub, see if you can get a better response, maybe add a fourth. A 4 is about like kind of, you know, I would say the limit for most people trying to get like this stuff in their actual house. You know, I don't think, I mean, depending on how big your room is, if you do have a big room, then sure, you can definitely go more. But like my room really couldn't handle more than 4 subs. I don't think. But adding more subs will give you a better response, 100%. Will it clear this up? I don't know. It's really hard to say, because where the subs are positioned has everything to do with the response in certain local areas. So it is hard to say, but I will say this, something this sharp you may not hear, right? But adding more subs might give you more uniformity, even though you can't hear it. Another thing is microphones do pick up differently to ears. We have 2 of them, and they are spaced. I don't know how many inches that would be apart, but you know, they're spaced apart. That what we hear and what we measure are slightly different, especially in bass. Anyway, let's psychoacoustically smooth this. So now you can see this is actually what we're going to hear, right? So a plus 6 dB boost for the most part will be enough for my room, right, to take care of this. Sure, you have problems here. Adding a 3rd and 4th sub here with almost the same EQ, idea at least, a plus 6 dB boost, may smooth this out. And again, there might be a dip here without smoothing, right? There still might be a dip there. But again, what you actually hear, like if this dip was like, you know, this is 10 dB, but imagine this dip was 5 dB up to this line. The psychoacoustic hearing might just about be there. So this is what you got to think about. And before you export an EQ and think, yes, this is what I want to do, think about doing this, generating the measurement to this screen. What do you actually hear it as? So for the most part, this would be, to me, an excellent EQ. You've got some room problems, everybody does, and this is just part of this, right? But it's cleaned up. It's cleaned up this dip here and this boost here. Now again, you could bring the target down to this point, but you are invertedly, if you want to say it that way, you're boosting anyway, because the difference between here and here is always going to be the same. In this room, in the subs in these positions, that you are always going to get this response, always, and the differences will always be this. So you can't necessarily just negate your way out of this, but some minor boosting and negating here and there I think is a better balance. Now, for the OCDers out there that think, well, if we are hearing this, then I actually do want to smooth this out. So what does it actually take to smooth out this? Let's see. Now, I've done this already, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to double what we have, right? So 12, and then we match target response. So when you're boosting, don't just put 18. The individual max boost is 18. Don't just put 18. So we've done 12. I'm going to generate predicted. Now you're going to get these squiggles, but you don't hear them. So I wouldn't worry about this. This is a 12. Right, this is a 12. Now, this is a perfect response because... No. Graph, psychoacoustic. That's basically a perfect response, because again, this is how you're going to hear it. So it takes care of all of the problems with this. So instead of using an 18 plus boost, and you're seeing, oh, it needs an 18 dB boost. Does it really? Like, check the lowest point that you actually need to boost. Now, 12 dB boost is a lot. So is it actually, in the end, is it actually worth doing? Because you have to think about this. Some parts of the sub have been negated by, let me see. Not on the right one. Time aligned. All right, so we have a plus 12 and we have a negative 16. What's that? 18, 10. Is that 28? I'm talking the difference between one part of the sub and the other is 28. if my math is correct. So you just have to think about that as well. Like, how smooth, again, does it sound to your ears? Do you do a sweep test and you hear one part of the sub go whoop? If you do, you have to re-EQ. So you can't have that. But let's do this. Did I? I smoothed this, didn't I, by mistake? Okay. Alright, that's selected. Okay, so let's go to 11 and do the same. Okay, 11 has not picked this up, so generate measurement from predicted. Plus 11. Let's take that off. Select. I can't select. Oh no, come on. Well, that sucks. Can I? Okay. That copied. So can I delete this? Remove. Good. Okay. So let's smooth this. Okay, so this is a plus 11 dB boost, and it quite simply is not worth it. So 6. I can't see 6. I'm not sure what's going on with RAW right now, but wait, plus 6 is below. Yeah, I must have pressed. I must have pressed something. Anyway, what I'm trying to show you here is that a plus 6 dB boost was completely fine, and you had this, and going up to even plus 11, you still have this, so the plus 11 boost is just simply not worth it. It is not worth it at all. So plus 6 dB boost really should take care of most people's problems. And again, if you really want to get into this, the plus 12 did take care of this as well, but you have to have a lot of headroom on your sub. You have to have really good subs to do this. Like my old ELAC 500 watt subs, they couldn't do this. You know, you can't put plus 12 dB boosts onto the sub at 500 watts, and I still want to play close to reference on some movies. You can't do it. So another thing as well is if you're applying maximum level boost here, like let's just say a plus 18 or you apply a plus 12, you might watch a movie one time and there's parts of the movie that are just taking off and they're making your walls like just vibrate like crazy. Well, it's because you're using a plus 12 dB boost at this part in the sub. That's why. When you go back down to a plus 6 and things are more reasonable, then you have the room, dealing with things in the room becomes a lot more easier. Balancing the sub itself is a lot easier. And you just have a far smoother response. When you boost, trust me, I've boosted plus 18 before in these parts of the sub. And you can tell these subs are right on the edge, especially when you're listening at extreme levels. You put on a Christopher Nolan track movie and you really, really know about it. So now he does use deep bass, but he's still using bass all the way up to here, all the way up to 120 hertz in the sub channel. So this type of lift here can give sound a completely different, it sounds completely different doing that. So I think this is the best way to like deal with this, is to look at the response in a psychoacoustic way to see exactly what is actually going on here. How much boosting does things actually take for you to hear it perfectly? Now, there's a crossover happening here as well. So in reality, I'm going to say this really doesn't matter too much right here. Bordering on the changing your phase, changing sub locations and things like that, and adding other subs. This is something I think you should just accept. But that's what I think. Unless again you want to add more subs, I would like to do that and just see, you know, can we clear some of these issues up. But there's one thing to think about as well, is that part of the room where my seat is probably has this issue. I don't know if other subs would clear it up. Maybe they would. It would definitely I think it would give a more smoother sound, even if the microphone didn't pick it up. But maybe the microphone would pick it up. So yeah, check this out. I think it's a really simple way of understanding how much boosting to deal with. Generally speaking, a plus 6 dB boost should take care of everything, as long as your target is within the center of your response. So yeah, let me know what you do with boosts. Are you boosting too much? Are you just using negative numbers, thinking that by using negative I'm really not boosting? Because that's not the case. You can do it that way, it doesn't matter. But if you're using negative numbers so much in your EQ, which I've done before, is do your subs have the sensitivity to turn on? When using like negative, say 18 dB cuts, you know, is there enough sensitive? My old ELACs, they turned on with anything. They could turn on by just turning the receiver on. That's how sensitive they were. Well, I put it on the most sensitive setting anyway. My current subs, I just leave on all the time. They are always on. So even if I did want to do a cut like that, it would be completely fine to do it. So check, let me know what you've done with your EQs. Like, how much do you actually set that number to boost? So again, I think a plus 6 dB will take care of all of this. It will give you a really nice sounding bass. And if you did have the headroom, work out psychoacoustically after how much you actually need. Now in my setup here, I needed plus 12 to truly take care of everything. But put it in, maybe store 2 EQs on a MINI-DSP, for instance. Listen to one, listen to the other, and does it cause any weird things going on in the room? And it's like, well, this isn't that heavy bass, but my entire room is shaking. You know, things like that. So have it on profile 1 and then have the other on profile 2. Just test them back to back. Like what actually sounds the best? So yeah. Hope this helps you trying to figure out how much to boost. By the way, this would go for the same thing with full range. I would try not to boost over around 6 dB, because you're using negative EQ as well, and those differences, especially in a speaker, depending on how much power you actually have, that can be a lot. So I've EQ'd other people's systems, and they have small Atmos speakers, and I've seen boosts and cuts of 10 dB before, and I've just I have to put it through a spreadsheet and zero those out, because you just can't boost that much. It's just too much boosting. It requires too much power, especially if these speakers are small, and it's the same with subwoofers. If these subs are small, I would never go above 6 dB boosts here. Don't do it. It's too much. It requires too much power. And what are you gaining? You're really not going to hear this. It's almost too sharp to hear. Yeah, let me know what you think, and let me know what you do for boosts. Hope this helps, and yeah, I'll see you.